And welcome to our webinar series. Thank you very much for joining again. Today our topic is going to be the hybrid windows. In Quebec, it's been a huge chunk of the market has went to hybrid, and I know that elsewhere in Canada it's kind of slowly picking up, but I sure hear a lot more about it than we used to. So this is why I decided to work on this webinar and try to go with trying to help you getting the right equipment for the right product. As hybrid window is a much more complicated window to assemble than just a regular PVC window. There's going to be a difference between the different extruders on the way they have designed their hybrid window. So this is why I joined with Sony Plastic, PHTech and Thermoplast that were very nice to give me some samples and some drawings to work with to show you today the different tweaks they have on their product. So I just want to make sure to say a huge thank you to François Villot and André Sicotte-Teasdale from Sony Plastic, at PHTech, Simon Bellan and Martin Jenkins, and at Thermoplast, Jean Marois and Michel Pépin. If you have any questions on what you're going to see today, you could direct to me or direct to these guys. They're going to be more than happy to show you the deep information of their product that I'm not going to go. I'm going to be just overflowing the subjects today of their product. Please do not hesitate. If you have any questions, go on the chat, ask your question. My team here is going to stop me and ask the questions right away. If you're not sure about some information, it's going to make a much more better webinar if you guys are interacting. So without further ado, we're just going to make a quick stop and I'm going to prepare for Sony Plastic. All right, so first system I'm going to be talking about is going to be Sony Plastic. The samples I have in hand right now are their 9000 series and 9100 series. Two different frames, both work with the same sash. The 9100 is the newest profile they've developed. It's a much thicker profile, much more solid platform, but they do also work with, still work with the old 9000 version. So I'm going to go through a little bit and try to give you some insiders on how to make it a better factory. So if I'm starting with the 9000 series frame, first of all, the way you're going to be assembling it, the aluminum on it are at 90 degrees. So there is no options, other options than doing the assembly of the PVC first and then assembling the aluminum on them after. You have to punch the profile, the aluminum profile, so it gives it the angle in the corner here, and it gives you the holes for the two screws that you're gonna have on the back. One of the difference between the 9000 and 9100 is if I'm showing you a closer look, you're gonna see that the attachment has to be kind of snapped in with a circular movement, where if you're going on the 9100, it's a much more direct insertion, which going to allow you different manufacturing options that I'm going to go over a little bit later. So if you're thinking about doing the 90-degree cut on this, just keep in mind that if you're going to go with high-speed welders from Rotox, there's the ability of creating a cut list from the welder itself. So the welder is going to measure the parts at the end of the welding cycle and give you an up-to-date cutting list. So you're going to make sure that your aluminum profiles are always cut to the right size and that you're not going to have like a bad joint at the corner where your two 90 degrees are going to be joining. With the 9100 series, there is an option of also cutting the aluminum profiles in 45s. And the way it's assembled, this would be allowing us to look into the Graph Synergy welder. This welder, the way it works is that you're going to be putting your parts that are cut at the same lengths, aluminum and PVC cut at the same length, and put them in the welder. The welder is going to burn off the PVC and machine the aluminum, so you have a nice finish when it joins. There is currently no customers that are doing it with Sony Plastic, but from experience looking at the profiles, I believe it's something that we can do, but it's gonna have to be tested first with Graph Synergy. So 9100 allows you to do that. The 9000 series does not allow you to do that. There is another way to do so if you want to take a more secure investment, a lighter investment. If you want to do it on your conventional welder, you could be cutting your aluminum 6 millimeters short than your PVC profile and load them into your conventional welder, and melt and joining are going to be positioning the parts the right way. We do have customers here in Quebec that have done so with different extruders of joining their hybrid window in a regular PVC welder. The main difference is that the Graph welder is going to be machining the extra length of the aluminum, where if you're doing it on a conventional welder, you're going to have to pre-cut to size your aluminum. Difference between a conventional welder and a high-speed welder, if you're going to be doing it this way, just keep in mind that the servo motors of a high-speed welder are going to make a much more accurate join than the cylinders on a conventional welder. So you might see a little bit difference of quality if you're only using a conventional welder, where your corners might not be a perfect match all the time, where if you're doing on a high-speed welder, servo control, the lengths are much more accurate, so it's going to be helping you at creating a better window. So another difference between the Graph welder and the high-speed or conventional welder is that the Graph, you're not going to be needing to go to a corner cleaner after, because they do have a zipper weld where the parts are melting as like very little fingers, and they're just going to interlock into each other, and there's no need to be cleaning the parts at the end. So this is going to be avoiding the corner cleaner, but the investment of a Graph welder versus a conventional welder and corner cleaner would be just about the same. And cycle time wise, the Graph welder is going to be much slower than a high-speed line. So there's really different ways to look at it. It's just a matter of making sure that your factory runs on a regular cycle. I would only go Graph if I would have a line that's dedicated to hybrid window that's running all day long. So if you're mixing material, you're really going to be slowing down if you're welding PVC only on the Graph welder instead of a conventional line. So there's many different ways to look at it. As per the Sash, that Sony Plastic design does have 2 corner keys and 2 screws. You can see here that there was a punch that did the cutting here, cutting of the drainage and holes for the 2 screws. So this cannot be avoided. So it has to be done as two separate squares. So you're going to be working your PVC square on one side, your aluminum square on the other side, and you're simply going to be joining them together and just like snap just like this. This can be done easily by hand. I have seen customers doing it with like a very small hydraulic pushers, but as you can see, I just did it very easily. So it can be done this way. One of the neat part of it is that once you're snapped in, you don't see the screws anymore, you don't see the drainage. It's kind of hitting in the weather strip here. So it has a neat finish. And this one sash fits in both frames that I discussed about. About the aluminum, I would highly suggest that you guys punch them. I could be a very bad salesman and trying to sell you a CNC center for them. It's going to be slower, and it's going to be doing the same exact job that the punch would do. So definitely go with the punch. If you're looking for saws for aluminum, I do have saws for one head, two head, that you can load the cutting list in them, that you cannot load cutting list in them. I have for every size of factory saws for aluminum. So give us a call if there's a need for this into your factory. So again, going through an overview of Sony Plastic, it's much more of a manual assembly for the aluminum, your regular assembly for your PVC, and you're snapping in your material, your aluminum on your PVC. And one frame allows you to go a little bit further into automation if this is what you're looking about. But if you want to help your factory, try to go with the 4.0 information transfer from one machine to the other and making more accurate cuts, more accurate finish, and a much better finish. So is there any questions on Sony Plastic? All right, so I do not have any questions, so we're going to make a very quick stop, and I will prepare for PHTech. All right, so now let's talk about PHTech. PHTech has 4 different profiles to work with for us today. Actually, I have 3 samples, but there's a small picture frame and a big picture frame. I only have one of them, but you kind of get the idea of they're built the same. So if I'm starting with the picture frame, so you see that there is actually there's actually 2 different aluminum parts. So one of them is just an extension. So this extension, I do have it here. There is many extensions that you can work with into the library of PHTech. You can even create your own if you don't like the design, things like that the guys at PHTech have told me. The main point here that we're going to be looking at is you need a punch to do this step here, and you need a punch to do the hole for the screw. I'm just going to put it closer for you guys. All right. So you see a step in the hole. So this is very important for your assembly as you're going to be screwing at the end your parts together. I'm sorry on this one. And so the same extensions are going to be used into the casement window and the slider window. They are all the same for all the frames. And they are always assembled and cut at 90-degree, punch to an angle for your sides, are cut at an angle for the assembly to fit, and you're going to be assembling them with a screw. So if you're looking at trying to bring automation into that. The way you would be using automation to the best would be welding your PVC profiles into a high-speed welder and using the information of size to your to create a cutting list at the end of your aluminum saw. So the way the Rotox welders are working is that there is a probe system that allows you to take the size of your profiles as you put them in the machine and the size of the complete window at the end. So thinking that you have a window frame that's 1000 by 1000, well, this is going to be creating a cutting list for your aluminum to go accordingly with the 1000 millimeter frame. So it might be just the same size or a little longer, but you guys have the mat to do that. But this is going to be done automatically. So all aluminums can be done this way, even though you're thinking about the casement or slider, the sash or frame, or even brick molds, just like these. You could also be using those cutting lists from your welder to your saw for aluminum, and making sure that your corners are really accurate, the lengths are really accurate, so your corners are going to be matching. No other tweaks on the fixed frame. If I'm going onto the casement frame now, casement frame, as you can see here, you have a brick mold, you have an extension, like I talked about on the picture frame, and you do have capping on your sash. So this capping you see is cut at a 45, and from experience, from what I'm looking at the design, it's something that we could think about going to a graph welder, where you would be cutting your aluminum the same size as your PVC, and you would be doing your welding cycle and machining the aluminum parts at the same time as you're burning off your PVC, and joining them together to have a very nice finish, and not have to do any corner cleaner work on those profiles. If you're looking for as accurate option but less expensive, and maybe you're not doing a full PVC and a full hybrid line separate, if you're doing everything on the same welder, then you want to go on a conventional welder or high-speed welder. And what you can do is cut your aluminum to the finished size. So let's take the 1000 example again. So your aluminum is going to be 1000, your PVC is going to be 1006, your welder is going to be burning off the 3 millimeters on each side, and your joining is going to be done, and your aluminum is going to be touching on the end. The only thing though is you're still gonna have to go through your corner cleaner and have a different program in your corner cleaner, so it cleans your sash only like the bottom and inside of the window. You're not gonna be obviously touching the aluminum. You can work with your fixtures for the outside face to kind of push the material inside, and not have it any worries about the welding seam to be pushing on the aluminum and making it that your corner kind of splits in the corner. So different options there that you can think about. And if I'm going into the slider window, again, brick mold, you have an extension. And one nice thing about this design is that PHTech made sure that the aluminum that you're using on the casement sash and on the slider frame are the same. So you're only having to hold one SKU in stock on these. And again, the way it's designed, we could think about going to a graph welder or conventional welder and doing the aluminum at the same time as the PVC, at least for this part. And then after that, you could be adding your extension as a second step into this type of window. So there is a few options there that you could look into for automation. Again, if you're looking for anything to cut your aluminum, you want to work with a single head saw, double head saw. You want to be able to send the list, like I talked about, send a cutting list directly from the welder. It's all things that we could be helping you. The one thing I would not go to trying to go to against the punch are a good solution on these. It's a very fast solution. It's very simple work. Trying to go with a CNC machine on this, I believe, would be a mistake, because we'll never be as fast and have the nice 90-degree corner here on it if you're doing on a CNC. So I would not change this set of mind if you are already punching. Another thing here is the brick molds. The brick molds, the way they are done is that they have a bracket in the corner that they're just going to be assembling together like this. So, and there's a hole for that's been punched to screw them in, and then you screw them on top of your frame and extension that you put in the previous steps. So not sure if there's any questions about PHTech profiles or the way to assemble anything. No? All right, no questions. So after a brief video, we're going to go to Thermoplast. All right, so let's talk about Thermoplast now. Thermoplast has two series. They really are just about the same extrusions, but there's kind of two ways to assemble them. Just keep in mind that these solutions have been tested, where with some other extruders that they have not been tested in Quebec or in Canada just yet. But these solutions are solutions that do exist at existing customers of Thermoplast at the moment. So first thing first, the Sash. The Sash are going to be cut at 45 degree, and there's going to be a corner key that you're going to be inserting into the profile and assembling your other corner here. This one is cut at 90, but just think that it's at 45, and you're going to be making an assembly for your sash, so your aluminum sash, your PVC sash, and you're going to be joining them together. Same thing for your picture frame, same thing for your casement frame. You're going to be making a separate assembly, and you're going to be joining them together at the end. So if you're going kind of the conventional way, how can you help your production? If you're looking at improving your cut lengths, because this is one of the big problems that you're going to be facing, is where you're cutting in advance thinking that you're going to have a certain size, and when you're assembling your profiles, they don't match, or they're too big, too low, things like that. So if you do have a high-speed welder, there's a probe system in the high-speed welder that allows you to create a cutting list from your square size. So you're welding your sash, it gives the information to a saw to cut your aluminum the right size that is going to be needed for your hybrid assembly. This can be used on glass tops. They can be used on any other accessories that are used in a full PVC window as well. So it's not just for the hybrid window, it's for any Windows accessories that's out there. You could use the mat of your cutting list mat to create a very accurate cutting list from what's being welded, instead of just going with the theory of your cutting size. So this is for the sash. You do have the frames. Frames are just the same. You have on this one, you have two different. You have the extension and the frame itself. again, two aluminum parts that are gonna have to be joined after you weld your PVC. Now, if we're going to the other way to assemble the window, we do have a customer that has a graph welder. So the way they work is that they actually assemble the parts, the extrusions first. So they actually they cap the PVC part with the aluminum part, and they cut to size of their assembly. So if you're looking for a window that's 1,000 millimeter long, so we're going to be cutting the aluminum and the PVC at the same time at 1006. We're going to put the parts into the welder, and the graph welder, what it's going to do is it's going to be melting your PVC as it's going to be machining the aluminum and creating one perfect weld at the end with the nice finish. And on the other side, you can see that there is no need for a corner cleaner to do its job. But again, it's not yet a perfect solution, as you still need to open the corners here for the wood insertion. So just keep in mind that you might still need a corner cleaner at the end of the day, where the thinking of seamless is, I'm not going to need any other things to do down the line. It's going to be a finished product. It's not there yet. It's there when you're thinking about a very European style window, but when you're going into North America, we do have our own tweaks that are going to be needing some more attention from other machines. So this could be done. You could create a small punch for this. You could do that on a corner cleaner. This customer actually does it on the corner cleaner. So keep in mind that it's a very good product. It's a very good solution, but it's not yet 100% perfect solution. This could also be done on a conventional welder or a high-speed welder, where instead of cutting both parts at the same time, you're going to be cutting them separate. Your aluminum is going to have to be cut to size. So if I'm taking the same example at 1000, so the aluminum is going to be cut at 1000, the PVC is going to be cut at 1006. You're going to pre-assemble them before putting them into the welder. And the welder is going to burn off the material of the PVC and kind of at the same time join the aluminum and PVC together in the corner. Here's what you want on this welder is you want to make sure that your fixtures are going to be pushing the material in and making a nice slim welding seam. And obviously you're still going to need a corner cleaner to clean the outside and clean this gap here. So you're still going to need the corner cleaner. But if you're putting both IDEs side by side, if you're looking at the conventional welder or high-speed welder, the cycle is going to be much faster than the graph welder, but the footprint is going to be much higher. So there's two different ways, two different budget, and two different speed to look at. So it's always a matter of balancing your production at this point. I know that in Quebec right now, a lot of customers are even thinking about going 100% hybrid. But I know that the rest of Canada, it's kind of picking up much slower. So it might just be 10% or 20% of your production. So you might not yet be at the step of investing on hybrid dedicated machines. So just know that some of these options can be done on a regular welder. So don't stop your thinking at thinking that you need this automation. You might have just what it needs to be done. So is there any questions on Thermoplast or on any other machines process that I've discussed about? All right, so there's no more questions. Thank you very much again for joining. A huge thank you to Thermoplast, to PHTech, and to Sony Plastic for letting me use their samples today. Give them a call if you're looking at hybrid systems. They'll be more than pleased to help you and educate you on how to build the windows. And give me a call if you have any needs on automation on machinery, either for hybrid or for full aluminum or full PVC windows. I'm going to be more than pleased to help you on those. And please send me some ideas of what you want me to discuss in future webinars. I'm more than open to have some ideas, some problems you have in your factory that you're looking at, solutions that you want to share. I'll be doing those subjects very happily. Thank you very much. Have a very nice day.